Hey everybody, it's kind of late. I'm in Maine traveling for a Wounded Warrior Project retreat and film shoot. But a client of mine texted me who's a pretty severe case, and we just got to talking about the social consequences of withdrawal. First, before I get into this topic, will you do me a huge favor and just hit subscribe on the channel? It says like 20% of people that watch my channel are actually subscribed. So please subscribe for me, please. It'll help people see it more, believe it or not. So like if they search antidepressants, my videos would come to the top. That's kind of how YouTube works. Anyway, all right, so let's get into the topic of social consequence. And what I mean by that is what kind of things do we lose in withdrawal, right? Tapering and withdrawal and injury, whatever you want to call it. It is very, what's the word? Like I'm looking for expansive. Like first you think it's like over, but it just keeps coming and it changes forms and it moves and all kinds of things. So the first type is you're suffering, you're in early withdrawal, you might be in early tapering, you might be injured. The reason I keep calling it an injury is just like people that are on 5 drugs and they're so sick they can hardly taper 1 drug. That's not withdrawal. They're stuck on the drugs, they can't get off, or they're getting off very slowly because they're so sick. So that's why I use the word injured. Anyhow, so you start talking about withdrawal. Perhaps you figure out what happened to you, like I did, and you try to convince everyone around you what happened, and they think you're nuts. And you could talk about it incessantly. You show them research articles, you send them films like Medicating Normal or As Prescribed, or there's many others. You send them articles, please read this, please read that. In general, I don't see that going well. It pushes people away from you. It makes you sound like an evangelist. But God love you and me because we are in desperate need to find out what happened. And when we do find out what happened, you do want to tell everybody. You want to explain yourself. I think above all, though, we want validation. Like that's the heart of it all. You know what I mean? Like when I meet people for a brand new coaching session, they'll come and do a 15-minute meet and greet sort of free session that I have. And in general, they want to tell me their whole story. And it's like, I can't get it in 15 minutes. I have tons of questions. But even that, like I see you guys, you know what I mean? There's just like this need, like I have to tell you what happened to me, and I have to know that you understand what happened and that you know what I'm talking about and that you see me and you know what kind of suffering I have been through. When we do that to people that don't get it, it almost causes more trauma because, for instance, I tried to convince my psychiatrist. How do you think that went? Didn't go very well. I tried for 14 months to convince him. And the way I did that was I wore my t-shirt from my university. It said Washington University and St. Louis Medical School across my shirt. And if you wear that shirt, like alumni shirt, people know where you went to school. Like, and I did that on purpose so that he would take me seriously, and he still did not. And I would bring him journal articles, and I'd print out things and like read this article. And one time I came with like a stack like this. And do you know what he wrote in my record? You ready? He wrote, patient believes she's in benzo withdrawal and that brings her comfort. Do you know what that really means? That means I'm delusional. So as you can see, it can backfire sometimes and like cause more harm than good. So now it's in my medical file that I believed I was in benzo withdrawal. Anyhow, okay, so that's one example. Like you tell a mental health professional, a therapist, I hear this all the time. Like when people meet me or they come for a session, they say, I need to talk to somebody because my therapist just doesn't get it. I probably hear that 3 to 5 times a day, especially like when I have new people that come on. And sometimes I'll have like 4 brand new sessions back to back, 15-minute quickies. And all 4 of them will say it in a row. Like I try to talk to my family, they don't get it. I try to talk to my therapist, she doesn't get it. My psychiatrist doesn't get it. I need someone to talk to. And I just think that's part of the suffering. Like you absolutely need to be validated in what has happened to you. Absolutely. And it almost feels like a injustice that we don't quite ever get that. Like I want the whole system to say, Angie, what happened to you is real. here's compensation for it, or here's an apology at least. And like, you never get that. You never really get that. I'm 7.5 years off. I had one psychiatrist apologize to me. He didn't know me from Adam. He only saw my movie in the film. I thought it was a genuine, beautiful gesture, but I didn't feel like a sense of closure from it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, all that to say, that's just one type. Okay. So let's move on to the friends and family. I think that's more painful and a little bit worse. Well, in a different way, but you want your friends and family to believe you. Do you know what I'm saying? They're the ones that know you. They saw you beforehand. They know how you were when you were normal. Then they see you when you're sick, and you try to explain why you're sick. And it's as if like their paradigm, because it's never happened to them, because they never had symptoms as strong or extreme or as intense as we do, they don't have a frame of reference to understand like how bad it actually is. So these are some examples that I've seen over the years. I've seen, oh, you were fine yesterday, but you're not fine today. Like, I don't get it. Like, you were fine. Like, you went to the store yesterday. Why can't you sit outside with our family barbecue today? Or you went on a weekend trip for a 4-day weekend a month ago, but now you can't get off the couch. I don't understand. Like, things like that, they cannot reconcile. It's too drastic. And people in the community, we understand that. You have waves and windows. One day you're doing really great. The next day you're on the floor. I can't tell you how many times, like, you see me on Facebook and it's like, Angie's at the Grand Canyon. She's having a great time. And it's like, I felt like I was at a funeral. I didn't, like, I could be at a funeral or on the beach and I felt dead. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I was in bed for 4 days, but you didn't see that on Facebook, you know? So people just cannot reconcile that, okay? Then we also have that, again, that incessant need to explain, to talk about our symptoms, to talk about withdrawal, to talk about the groups, to talk about the movies we watched. It's like our whole entire world revolves around tapering, withdrawal, our symptoms, the injury that you have, the people within the groups, whatever, how the system screwed you up. Can you believe the FDA did this or that, or the studies? And I just read today that, 20% of people that take Effexor have severe withdrawal and 65% have moderate to severe. Like, it's like it becomes your life. And of course it is, because you're suffering so bad and that's all you can think about and that's how you feel all day. And we do definitely turn inward. Like, I could not stop focusing on my inner experience. Like, it was impossible. And even that was pathologized. At one point I went to see a therapist. This is right when I got cold turkeyed. I was in a hospital at the VA, and there's this really good therapist there, and they said, oh, you're being assigned to him and he's great and you're just going to love him. And the first thing he said was, we're missing something. We're missing something. We're missing something. And he told the psychiatrist, we're missing something. So they did an MRI on my brain, and then my doctor was like, oh, it must be MS. So then they did all this MS testing. And at this point, I still didn't know what happened to me. I still didn't know, like, I was benzo injured and probably injured from all the other meds I took before that, and they said, we're missing something. And then finally he's like, he tried to do ACT therapy with me, which is acceptance and commitment therapy. And it's sort of like accepting how you feel. I forgot what commitment. I can't even remember all of it, but it's basically like a mindfulness based approach. Like, it's okay for however you're feeling. Instead of like pathologizing it, it's just like, let the feelings be there, And he kept saying, like, you're so focused on your symptoms. And I'm like, yeah, I'm being electrocuted to death. What do you think I'm supposed to do? Like, so he would try to tell me to do these things like, imagine in your mind there's a conveyor belt, and I want you to put all your symptoms on the conveyor belt and watch them drift away. And I'm like, my entire body feels like I'm Hulk Hogan and I could run a marathon and I'm having suicidal thoughts, and you want me to put them all on a conveyor belt and you think they're going to go away? They don't go away. They're not going anywhere. And I just don't understand why you're so focused on your inner sensations. I think that's the way he phrased it. I'm like, I can't help it, So, where am I? It's just a horrible thing. So then when you try to talk to family and friends about your symptoms and you're talking about it every day, I mean, I would tell my sister, she'd come over like once a month when I was in really heavy duty withdrawal. And I would just look at her and I'd be like, you don't understand. Like, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to die. You know, my hands are burning. My feet are numb. I have worms crawling through my face. My head feels like it's going to explode. There's so much pressure on my head. It feels like my skull is cracking open. She just looked at me like, okay, but you look normal. You sound normal. Like, what do you mean? You just did your dishes. I'm like, I know. I can't explain it. I'm on fire on the inside of my body, you know? So even my sister now, 7.5 years later, she's like, you told me, Angie, but I didn't understand. Like, I didn't get it. Okay. So she's watched that healing process happen. She watched me when I couldn't speak. She watched me when I couldn't stand up to take a shower for 2.5 years. She watched me slowly. I mean, I wore sunglasses for probably 5 years. Like, could not be anywhere without sunglasses on because the light was just so intense. She watched me not able to walk the dog. I had to hire someone to walk the dog and someone to bring me meals. And I went and, excuse me, I got a hair in my mouth. I went into great debt, like probably $20,000 worth of debt just from withdrawal, just trying to like take care of my basic needs. You know what I mean? I'm cooking it and I'm in a van and I'm traveling and now I'm on an airplane and I'm flying places, and she's seen that whole thing. So thank God she loved me enough to stick through it and watch, even though I did not, like, she was not being like she wasn't supporting me directly, like during the whole thing. I didn't want anybody to support me, honestly. I was like, everybody needs to stay away from me and leave me alone because I don't really think I'm going to make it. And I don't want anybody to watch this and I don't want to talk about it and put myself in danger. So I was very particular about who I talked about that with. Okay, so it will push some people away. You will lose people. I promise you. I've lost many. I've lost family members well before I went into acute withdrawal, probably due to neuroemotion. Now that I look back, like, I was just so emotional that every little thing that they did to me just pissed me off so bad. I was like, get out of my life. I don't want anything to do with you. If you cause me stress, I cannot deal with it. But it was because I was so stress sensitive, I could not handle anything more than I was dealing with internally, you know? So I lost family members, relationships. I'm starting to get my relationship back with my dad, but my mom, no. Like, it's not even on the radar. Me and my dad, he's probably going to travel and meet me here in a couple weeks. So I'm working on that relationship. And that's 7.5 years later, out of withdrawal. Friends, let's talk about that really quick. So I've lost friends. The most hurtful one I have to share, there's two I can think of. One was, there was a girl, I was friends with her and her husband, I'm going to try not to give so many revealing details. However, don't treat people like shit, because I remember that. You know what I mean? If you think I'm not going to talk about it, I probably will somehow. So I'll try not to give any revealing details. However, let me change a detail. Okay, this person was fundraising. Let's just put it that way. She was fundraising for a cause that is near and dear to my heart. And she knew I was suicidal. She knew I was struggling. She knew I needed support and help. And instead of supporting and helping me, she's over here raising money for the same cause that I'm suffering from. And I'm like watching this on Facebook, and I'm so sick at that time. I'm telling you guys, I could not even post on Facebook for 4 months. I didn't know there was any Facebook groups or anything. I was so out of it and so sick during that first 4 months off. Like, I could not even explain what was happening to me or talk about what was happening to me or even put it in language to try to make that person understand, I need you to help me or I'm going to die. Like, I could not even verbalize it. It was that amount of suffering. So to watch a person do that, and I was just like, are you kidding me? You just visited me in the hospital and now you're over there raising funds and like baking pies and shit, and you can't even check on me? Like, excuse me? So that one, I had to cut that couple off pretty quickly. Another person hurt me really bad. Like, I think this was right as I was like going into tolerance and about to cold turkey. And that person announced to an entire room about, Angie's really sick and she's got bad brain symptoms and nobody knows what's wrong with her. And basically she was talking about me as if I was not standing there, completely humiliated. And then she was going behind my back talking about me in other ways to other people. And then they were coming back and telling me, and that Angie needs help and she's not trying to get it. And she's really mentally ill and things like that. And it was all a basic misunderstanding. I tried to explain to her like 5 times. I think it's my meds. I'm not sure. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm going to a therapist. I'm setting goals. I'm doing all the things and I'm not getting better. And I don't know why. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with me, but it was like her twisting of the situation before and after I was cold turkeyed and talking about me behind my back and making it into her own like narrative of what was happening instead of listening to the person that it was happening to. So that happened. So then there's more collateral damage after that with friends and family. And I will say this is probably the most common kind, where you guys are so sick. And I was so sick that I could not withstand a friendship even if you paid me to. Like I could not, literally I went through a phase probably for like 4 years where if you were not standing in front of my face or texting me or calling me, I forgot you existed. Like my brain just erased you. And then every once in a while it would like pop up in like on a Facebook, or if I got an email from a person, or maybe I saw something with a person's name on it and it would jog my memory like, oh, Erica, that's a friend I go to college with. I should probably call her to make sure she's okay. Like, it's just like totally beyond me. So there's a period of time where like you're so sick, some of us, not everyone, where you could be so sick that you lose friendships, you lose relationships with family, you cannot engage, you cannot attend family functions, you can't go to Christmas. If you do go to Christmas, you're sitting in the corner terrified, and then you leave after 5 minutes. That happened to me. I did not attend the first 2 years, and then the third year I was like there for like 20 minutes, and I was like, I gotta go, and I left crying. And then the fourth year it was like 2 hours. You know, that's from an extreme cold turkey. Most people that taper do not have experience. So then you lose people because you cannot keep up a relationship with them. I think the thing that really, I guess the metal that brings together this whole thing is like, you know who your real friends are. You will find out. And you might have a break from them and they might return. I can't guarantee that. Sometimes they return, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they watch you heal and then they get it. Like that has happened to me absolutely a couple times. People were like, I didn't know what was wrong with you. I kept my distance because I just didn't know what happened. And then I've rekindled those friendships later as I've healed. They've watched it. The thing that helped me was, I think the film helped me more than anything, Medicating Normal, because I showed it. I was so terrified, you guys. I'm trying to keep this video short. It's not happening. I like to talk. But anyway, I showed the film Medicating Normal literally to my entire family. I had an audience of 100, I think it was like 120 people in St. Louis, where I invited all my closest family and friends, people I went to high school with, people I hadn't talked to in a long time, and I was freaking terrified. I was like, these people are going to either love me or hate me or run. And I'll never forget, I looked in the front row and I saw my family off to the left, and some of my family members had their arms crossed. And I knew that was like, I'm watching some scary shit and I don't really know how to take it. And then I just sat there and watched and like, what's going to happen? They're either going to love me, I don't know. And honestly, that brought me closer to some of them, and it pushed me farther apart from some of them. And that was a price I was willing to pay. I mean, I can't sacrifice what happened to me or not be who I am for someone else's comfort. You know, I was like, here it is. Love me or hate me. This is what happened to me. This is where I've been for 3 years. When you guys didn't see me at family get-togethers and you lost contact with me and I didn't call you for your birthday, this is what was happening right here. So that helped me, but I know you guys don't have that luxury to be in a movie. But it does show you who the real people are. So let me give 2 more types. I'm going to try to hurry because, God, we're at 20 minutes already. Okay, so there's another type of collateral damage socially, and it's like, it just happened to me again. Okay, so let me explain. So it's like once you get past the experience, you're kind of out of the suffering, you're out of the pain part, you're starting to get better, you're not 100%, but you're closer than you've ever been. The worst is behind you. People still do not understand. It's like they cannot get it. So let me give you an example. I'm on a trip It's a women veterans retreat. They wanted us to go white water rafting. I was like, I'll go, sure. But then they scared the crap out of me talking about this is class 4 rapids. And the girl said, they're going to give you a safety briefing and they're going to say lots of scary stuff, but it's really to just open your eyes so that you understand what you're dealing with. The likelihood that it will happen is very low, but you have to be informed. And I'm telling you, the girl scared the crap out of us. Like, if you get your foot under a rock, the water's going to keep pushing you and you could get lodged and you will go under. And that the river water is very high right now and there's trees on the sides, so stay away from the sides. If you get swept under a tree, you're probably going to die because the force of the water is so great that you cannot untangle yourself. Then it was like you could flip out of the boat. You could be a swimmer. If you start swimming, keep your feet and legs up. Like, they want you to sit like this so that you don't get your feet caught anyway. All these things. Wearing a helmet. I was like, first of all, I'm not risking another brain injury. Besides me being in withdrawal, I've had a couple brain injuries. One was like worse than the other. A third was like kind of like a mild, super mild one. But I lost consciousness once, okay? And it messed me up I had like post-concussive syndrome for like a month and a half where I just could not think and I had to take a leave of absence from school. That's how bad it was. So I'm like, if you think I'm going to risk another brain injury, you're nuts. Like, I'm just not doing that, you know? The other thing is I don't like being scared. Like, I just don't, okay? I can handle it for the most part in most daily things. Like, getting on an airplane does cause anxiety. If it doesn't cause you anxiety, something's wrong with you is what I say. But I can handle like mild anxiety or like mild fear, but not like adrenaline rushing fear stuff. Like, I don't want to feel like that. It reminds me of akathisia, the inner part. I don't want to feel that anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. So basically I said, I'm not doing that. And they said, you have the choice. Like, you can come or you don't have to. It's up to you. And I was like, nope, not doing it. Like, it's just not happening. And so there's a therapist here and he wants to talk me into it. And first of all, don't come at me with coercion. Like, it doesn't work. Okay. If anything, it backs me in a corner and I'm going to fight my way out. Secondly, he's like, okay, but like so this was his question. At what point did you panic and decide you don't want to do it? And I'm like, it ain't about panic. Okay. It's not about me. I said, let me explain this to you. You're coming at this to me like it's a psychological thing. It's not. It's a physical thing. I don't want to feel fear in my brain. Okay. I have had enough of it. And like, I don't need to do that. I'm not doing it. And so I tried to explain to him what withdrawal means. And like, I still have neurological symptoms. I have some visual symptoms. I have some legitimate visual diagnoses, one of which is visual motion hypersensitivity. So like, when things go by me too fast, like a river going 12 miles an hour or whatever, 18 miles an hour, I don't remember what it is. But I don't want a bunch of stuff coming by me and then I get more dizzy. And then I'm like, I'm sitting in a boat worried about if I'm going to flip out or not. Like, that does not sound like fun to me. I'm not doing it. Like, physically, I'm not doing it. So I tried and tried and tried. And then, of course, he's just like, okay, I just don't get it all the way. I'm trying. And I'm like, I appreciate you trying. But then I like went to bed. And then this morning, I woke up thinking, oh my God, now I'm like have a vulnerability hangover. Like, why did I explain myself so much? Why was I talking about how these meds hurt people? And like, I have to be quiet about that and like what I've been through. And I'm just like, oh, you just feel like yucky. However, I don't give a what you understand or think or believe or what you've been taught or not. I know what happened to me. Okay. I know what happened to me. I know what I still experience. I get to sit with people all day long who've been injured by the mental health system. I don't give a ding dong if you have ever been exposed to that material or not. You're not going to make me do something that I don't want to do. It's just not happening, period. So that's kind of the social collateral damage. Like, long term, you're going to run into people who don't get it and who are trying their darndest, but they're never going to get it because they have not been through that experience, and there's no amount of explaining it to them or anything. The best thing I got through to him was I said, listen, you're coming at this from a psychological perspective. This is not about me calming my anxiety or me having too much fear or panic or nothing like that. No, I said, would you tell an amputee, somebody with no legs, to get up and start running? No, you would not. So someone with a bunch of visual disabilities who's bumped their head a whole bunch of times, I'm not going to jump in. Are you crazy? Like, you're the crazy one if you think I'm going to do that. So no. Anyway. Okay, now I can't even remember the last social collateral damage I was going to tell you. Friends, family. I've definitely seen some family stuff where it was pretty toxic. And I would say it's a high marker for suicide. I'm just going to tell you that if your family does not believe you and tells you to like suck it up, or what you're experiencing is really mental illness, or you need to go back on your meds, if there's a doctor in your life that's pushing meds or pushing hospitalization who is not willing to look into it, to me those are like the higher markers. I've seen some family members say some really severely insensitive things to people, and I mean, that's why I'm not a therapist too. I will call them on it. Like, do you hear what you just said? Like, would you say that to a 4-year-old? Like, don't talk to your loved one like that. You know, I literally said that to people before. So it's just like, it's like empathy. They claim empathy can be taught. I mean, we talked about this in social work school. Sometimes I think some people just don't have it. Like, if they have it, it's tiny and they have not nurtured that part of them, and they can't even pull it out if you beg them to. It's just like, it's just not even in there, you know? I've seen it a couple times, and it's kind of scary, and it's really sad. There's also a lot of burnout with families. They're just like, I'm tired of hearing about this shit. I don't want to read another article. I'm sick of these movies. I want this to be over. I've watched my loved one suffer from this for 3 years. How long is it going to take? I'm sick of it. Which, yeah, of course they're sick of it. We're sick of it too, you know? So your family and friends are going through it with you. Let's just put it that way. I think there's a lot of people in the system, they don't want to be open-minded. They don't want to learn. They have made their mind up. They see what they want to see. And I feel like just to preserve your own sanity, to stay away from people that don't want to listen to you or validate you or understand or even look into it or read, but don't push. And when you push so hard, it's just like, it's like arguing politics with somebody on the other side. What do you think is going to happen from that? They're going to believe their side more. You're not convincing them of anything. You know what I mean? I've watched it over and over through all the film screenings. Like, when people stand up and say, my meds saved my life, my meds helped me, I just let them have that experience. I thought the same thing. 7.5 years ago, before I came off, a month before, I thought, I can't survive without these meds. I need them to go to school. I can't finish school without them. And then I changed my mind, you know? And it wasn't because somebody argued with me. It was because it happened to me. And I don't want people to learn that lesson, but you just are not going to win with an argument or pushing a bunch of articles on someone. So you're going to lose friends. You're going to be pushed away from family. You're going to lose the support of practitioners. So my best advice, I'm sorry you had to wait 28 minutes and 15 seconds to hear this, but my best advice is to hang on to people that do understand. It could be anyone. It could be a yoga teacher, a priest, a massage therapist, your functional medicine doctor who can afford that. It could be a withdrawal friend that you met online who has a similar experience to you. I always recommend a healing buddy. It could be a coach. There's lots of coaches out there. Go look at all their websites and see who resonates with you the most. We're all different personalities, different histories, different education backgrounds, like all different stuff. You got to hang on to who you can hang on to, even if you don't have anyone, okay? Because I did not have anyone except that therapist that I saw every Tuesday at 10 a.m., which got me to the next week, like, just don't kill yourself until Tuesday, who didn't really get it all the way, but enough that she just let me talk about my symptoms and didn't call the 911 on me. And my sister that visited once a month, and it was like my withdrawal friends mostly. Those were the people that got me through. I'm still friends with them today. We actually have a thread on Facebook joking about airports and airplanes. That's changed a lot over the years because we used to talk about nausea and brain zaps and feeling like I'm burning alive. Now we're talking about travel 7.5 years later. So things change. Just hang on to who you can hang on to. I think once you're on the other side, you value friendships that much more. You feel closer to people than you ever felt. You love them more than you ever loved people before. You love strangers, even after a 5-minute encounter, and it fills you up. So you're going to lose people, but you will find out who your real friends are. You will be a stronger person, whether you want to be or not. It's just inherent in the whole experience. And you'll make new friends. Like, I have friends now that they don't know anything about my withdrawal experience. I don't talk about it. We just have fun. That's it. That's the base of our relationship. When I meet somebody new, if I feel like they can handle it, I might share a little bit, and then I shut up. Like, it's not the center of my life anymore like it used to be. They might ask me what I do for work. I tell them I coach people who are coming off meds. That's interesting. And then we move on. What do you do? Oh, I'm a waitress. Okay, cool. That's it. Want to go to the rodeo? Like, that's it. So it does become less. You're not symptom focused. You're not pushing people away. You're not trying to evangelize and make everybody in the world believe you. You can plant seeds and let them grow or not and walk away. So hang in there. Hang in there. Some people don't lose anyone. I should have said that earlier. And if you're one of them, thank God you have good people around you, you know. But it's definitely a tough road. There's collateral damage that can go on for a while. But it's all okay. It'll be okay. You know what I mean? The people that are supposed to stick around, they will. And the rest, as far as I'm concerned, they can go to hell. All right. See you guys later. Bye.